A day as a freelancer. Have you ever wondered what it's like to be your own boss? To wake up whenever you want, work in your pajamas, and set your own schedule? Well, today's story will take you through a day in the life of a freelancer, with all its ups, downs, and unexpected surprises. If you're ready for a journey full of laughter, lessons, and relatable moments, hit that subscribe button right now and join our story-driven English community. Let's improve your English together through stories that entertain and teach at the same time. The alarm blared at 7 a.m. and Jack groaned, reaching out blindly to silence it. His hand knocked over an empty coffee mug on his nightstand before finally finding the phone. With eyes still closed, he hit the snooze button and rolled over, pulling the blanket over his head. Just 5 more minutes, he mumbled into his pillow. This was one of the perks of being a freelancer. He could start work whenever he wanted. At least that's what he told himself each morning while hitting snooze for the 3rd time. 10 minutes later, his second alarm went off. This time, Jack forced himself to sit up. He rubbed his eyes and looked around his small apartment. His desk was visible from his bed just 15 steps away. That was both a blessing and a curse. While he didn't have to commute to an office, his workspace was always there, staring at him, even during his free time. Jack stretched and finally got out of bed. Another day, another dollar, he said to himself as he shuffled to the bathroom. He had been working as a freelance graphic designer for 2 years now. After quitting his corporate job, he had promised himself he would maintain a proper routine. Wake up early, exercise, eat a healthy breakfast, and start work by 8:30 a.m. But like many promises we make to ourselves, this one was easier said than done. After a quick shower, Jack headed to the kitchen. He opened the refrigerator and stared at its contents. Half a carton of milk, some eggs, and leftover pizza from last night. Breakfast of champions, he muttered, grabbing the pizza box. As he waited for his coffee to brew, he checked his phone. 3 new emails and a text message from his mother, asking if he was still alive. He made a mental note to call her later. With coffee in one hand and cold pizza in the other, Jack walked to his desk. His laptop sat there, surrounded by sketches, sticky notes, and more empty coffee mugs than he cared to count. He sat down and took a deep breath. This was it. His office, his kingdom. Let's see what exciting tasks await me today, he said. Opening his laptop, the screen lit up, revealing his to-do list from yesterday. He had completed most of it, except for one task. Email client about logo revisions. Jack grimaced. He had been putting this off because the client in question, Mrs. Thompson, was particularly difficult to please. She had already rejected 5 different logo designs for her bakery business. Might as well get the hard part over with first, Jack decided. He opened his email and began drafting a message to Mrs. Thompson. He tried to sound professional and patient, even though he was running out of ideas for her logo. After reading it over twice, he hit send and leaned back in his chair. While waiting for her response, Jack checked his schedule for the day. He had a video call with a new client at 11 a.m., a website design to finish by 3 p.m., and invoices to send out. Not too bad compared to some days when deadlines piled up like dirty laundry. Jack's phone buzzed. A notification from his freelancing platform showed a new project request. Someone needed a poster designed for their music event, and they needed it fast. The budget was decent and the project seemed straightforward. Jack quickly sent a proposal, hoping to secure the job. By 9:30 a.m., he was deep into working on the website design. He had promised the client he would finish it today, and he was determined to keep his word. Time seemed to fly by when Jack was in his creative zone. His coffee grew cold, forgotten beside his mousepad. At 10:45 a.m., his phone alarm reminded him of the upcoming video call. Jack looked down at his attire, an old t-shirt with a cartoon character on it and sweatpants. Not exactly professional. He rushed to his closet and grabbed a clean button-up shirt. He put it on over his t-shirt and ran his fingers through his hair, trying to make himself presentable. The video call with the potential new client went well. They wanted a complete brand identity for their startup company, which meant steady work for at least a month. Jack felt a surge of excitement as he ended the call. This was why he loved freelancing. The thrill of landing new projects, the variety of work, and the freedom to choose what he wanted to do. After the call, Jack's stomach growled loudly, reminding him it was lunchtime. He stood up and stretched his back, which had grown stiff from sitting for hours. One disadvantage of working from home was the lack of movement. In an office, he would at least walk to meeting rooms or to chat with colleagues. Jack walked to the kitchen, contemplating his lunch options. The refrigerator didn't offer much inspiration. I should really go grocery shopping, he thought. He decided to order food delivery, a luxury he allowed himself occasionally, especially after securing a new project. While waiting for his food, Jack checked his emails again. Mrs. Thompson had replied about the logo. To his surprise, she actually liked the latest design but wanted just a few small changes. Jack smiled with relief. Maybe the 6th time was the charm. The doorbell rang, announcing the arrival of his lunch. Jack thanked the delivery person and brought his food back to his desk. Eating while working wasn't the healthiest habit, but deadlines waited for no one. As he took a bite of his sandwich, his phone rang. It was his friend Mike. "Hey Jack, what's up? Are you busy?" Mike asked. "Just having lunch and working," Jack replied, trying not to talk with his mouth full. "Perfect timing then. A few of us are meeting at the coffee shop downtown. Want to join? You can bring your laptop and work from there for a change of scenery." Jack hesitated. He had a lot to do, but the idea of human interaction and a change of environment was tempting. One of the challenges of freelancing was the isolation. Sometimes days would pass without face-to-face conversations with anyone. "You know what? I'll be there in 30 minutes, Jack decided. He could use the coffee shop's Wi-Fi and still get work done. Plus, socializing was important too. After finishing his lunch, Jack packed his laptop, charger, and notebook into his backpack. He changed into jeans, keeping the button-up shirt on, and headed out. The weather was pleasant, sunny, with a gentle breeze. Jack realized it was the first time he had stepped outside in 2 days. He made a mental note to include daily walks in his routine. The coffee shop was a popular spot for remote workers and students. The aroma of freshly ground coffee beans greeted Jack as he pushed open the door. He spotted Mike and 2 other friends sitting at a large table near the window. "Look who decided to join the land of the living," Mike called out as Jack approached. "Very funny," Jack said, setting down his backpack. "Some of us actually have work to do." "And what do you think we're doing here? Playing games?" laughed Sarah, one of Mike's friends gesturing to her open laptop. "Wouldn't be the first time," Jack replied with a grin. He ordered a cappuccino and settled in with the group. They all worked in different fields. Mike was a software developer, Sarah a content writer, and Tom a social media manager. They had met at a networking event for freelancers last year and had formed a casual support group of sorts. For the next hour, they worked on their individual projects, occasionally sharing ideas or asking for feedback. It was refreshing for Jack to be around people who understood the freelance lifestyle. They discussed difficult clients, payment issues, and time management strategies. Jack realized how much he had missed this kind of interaction. At around 3:30 p.m., Jack finished the website design and sent it to his client for review. He felt a sense of accomplishment as he closed that project file. Sarah noticed his satisfied expression. "Finished something big?" she asked. "Just a website I've been working on for the past week," Jack replied. "It's always a good feeling when you can tick something off your list." "Tell me about it," Tom joined in. "I just finished scheduling social media posts for a client for the entire month. My brain feels empty now." They all laughed, understanding the mixture of relief and emptiness that came after completing a project. Jack checked his emails again and saw a response from the client who had requested the music event poster. They had accepted his proposal and needed the work done in 3 days. "New project?" Mike asked, noticing Jack's expression. "Yeah, a poster design, decent pay, tight deadline." "The freelancer's eternal dilemma," Sarah said dramatically. "Good pay, impossible deadlines, or reasonable deadlines, terrible pay." "You forgot the third option," Tom added. "Good clients who pay well and respect your time but are as rare as unicorns." They all laughed again. Jack felt energized by the conversation and the change of environment. He started sketching ideas for the poster, occasionally looking up to contribute to the ongoing conversation. The background noise of the coffee shop, the hiss of the espresso machine, the clinking of cups, and the murmur of conversations created a surprisingly productive atmosphere. By 5 p.m., the group started to disperse. Tom had a video call with a client, and Sarah needed to pick up her dog from the groomer. Jack decided to stay a bit longer. He was on a roll with the poster design and didn't want to break his creative flow. "Don't become a coffee shop hermit now," Mike warned jokingly as he packed up his things. "Remember to go home eventually." "I'll be heading back soon," Jack promised. "Just want to finish this concept first." After his friends left, Jack ordered another coffee and continued working. He lost track of time as he focused on his design. When he finally looked up, it was nearly 7:30 p.m., and the coffee shop was starting to empty. His back ached from sitting for so long, and his eyes felt strained from staring at the screen. "Time to call it a day," he muttered to himself. He packed up his things, thanked the barista, and headed out into the evening. The streets were still busy with people heading home from work or going out for dinner. Jack decided to take a longer. He wrote home, enjoying the warm evening air and the city sights. As he walked, he thought about how different his life was now compared to his days in the corporate world. Back then, he would leave the office at 6 p.m. sharp, regardless of whether his work was finished or not. Now, work and life blended together in a way that was both liberating and challenging. Jack stopped at a small grocery store on his way home. If he was going to be a successful freelancer, he needed to take better care of himself. He picked up some fresh fruits, vegetables, eggs, bread, and a few other essentials. No more cold pizza for breakfast tomorrow. By the time he reached his apartment, it was past 8 p.m. He put away the groceries and decided to cook a proper dinner instead of ordering takeout again. While his pasta was cooking, Jack checked his emails one last time for the day. His website client had replied with positive feedback and only minor revision requests. Mrs. Thompson had approved the logo design after his latest adjustments, and the music event client had sent him more details about their requirements. Overall, it had been a productive day. Jack felt satisfied as he sat down to eat his dinner. After eating, he cleaned up the kitchen and decided to relax for the rest of the evening. He picked up a book he had been meaning to read for weeks but never found the time. Around 10:30 p.m., Jack started feeling sleepy. He set his alarm for 7 a.m. again, promising himself he would actually get up this time. Before going to bed, he took a moment to plan his tasks for tomorrow. He wrote them down in his notebook, a habit he had developed to keep himself organized. As Jack lay in bed, he thought about the challenges and rewards of his freelance life. It wasn't always easy. There were days when he missed the stability of a regular paycheck and the clear separation between work and home. But then there were days like today, when he could collaborate with friends in a coffee shop, take on exciting new projects, and still have time to enjoy the evening. The freedom was worth the uncertainty. With these thoughts in mind, Jack drifted off to sleep, ready to face another day as a freelancer. When his alarm went off the next morning, Jack surprised himself by actually getting up on the first try. Maybe it was the effect of good sleep, or the anticipation of starting the poster project. He felt motivated and ready to tackle the day. After a proper breakfast of eggs and toast, no cold pizza this time, Jack sat down at his desk with a fresh cup of coffee. He opened his notebook to check his task list for the day. Work on the music event poster, start the branding project for the new client, update his portfolio website, and call his mother. Jack decided to start with the poster design since he already had some ideas sketched out. He turned on some instrumental music to help him focus and dove into the work. Time seemed to disappear as he played with colors, typography, and images. This was what he loved most about his job: the creative process, the problem-solving, the satisfaction of seeing a design come to life. Around midday, Jack remembered he needed to call his mother. He took a break from his work and dialed her number. "Jack, I was beginning to think you had forgotten all about your poor old mother," she said when she answered. "Sorry, Mom. I've been busy with work," Jack replied, feeling a twinge of guilt. He made a mental note to call her more regularly. "Busy with work? That's good. Does that mean you're finally making enough money with this freelance thing of yours?" There was that hint of concern in her voice that never quite went away. His mother had been skeptical when he left his stable corporate job to go freelance. "Yes, Mom. I'm doing well. Just landed 2 new projects yesterday, actually." "That's wonderful, dear. But you know, Kevin from next door says his company is hiring. They have good benefits, health insurance." Jack smiled to himself as his mother continued. "Some things never changed. Mom, I appreciate the concern, but I'm happy with what I'm doing. It's challenging sometimes, but I wouldn't trade it for a regular job." They chatted for about 20 minutes before Jack mentioned he needed to get back to work. After the call, he made himself a sandwich for lunch and returned to his desk. The poster was coming along nicely, and he felt confident the client would like it. In the afternoon, Jack opened his email to find a message from a former client. They were impressed with his previous work and wanted to hire him for a new project, redesigning their company newsletter. The timing couldn't have been, better. Just when one project was ending, another one appeared. This was the unpredictable nature of freelancing that Jack had come to both fear and appreciate. As Jack worked on the branding project for his new client, he thought about his journey as a freelancer. When he first started, he had worried constantly about finding enough work and paying his bills. He had taken on every project that came his way, regardless of whether it aligned with his skills or interests. That led to burnout and dissatisfaction. Over time, he had learned to be more selective, to recognize his worth, and to create boundaries between work and personal life, although he was still working on that last part. The feast or famine cycle of freelancing was still a reality, but he had gotten better at managing it. By late afternoon, Jack had made progress on all his tasks except updating his portfolio website. He decided to leave that for tomorrow. He stood up and stretched, feeling the satisfying pop of his joints after sitting for hours. A glance outside showed it was a beautiful day. Too beautiful to stay indoors. Jack grabbed his sketchbook and headed to the park nearby. He could do some thinking and sketching for the branding project in a different environment. The park was bustling with people enjoying the sunny day. Children playing, couples walking hand in hand, office workers on late lunch breaks, and other freelancers like himself with laptops and notebooks. He found an empty bench under a large oak tree and sat down. The change of scenery immediately refreshed his mind. Jack opened his sketchbook and began jotting down ideas and drawing rough logos. Without the distractions of emails and notifications, his creativity flowed more freely. After an hour of productive sketching, Jack packed up his things and decided to walk around the park. Physical activity was something he often neglected when deadlines loomed. As he walked, he noticed a small art exhibition set up near the park's entrance. Curious, he stopped to look. The exhibition featured works by local artists, many of whom were freelancers like himself. Jack struck up a conversation with one of the artists, a woman named Elena who created digital illustrations. "How long have you been freelancing?" Jack asked her as he admired her colorful artwork. "About 5 years now," Elena replied. "It's been quite a journey. There are days when I question my choices, and then there are days when I can't imagine doing anything else." Jack nodded in understanding. "I feel exactly the same way. The freedom is amazing, but the uncertainty can be stressful. The key is building a network, Elena said. Not just for finding clients, but for support. Freelancing can be lonely. They exchanged contact information before Jack left. Networking. Another crucial aspect of freelance life that didn't come naturally to him, but was essential for success. He made a mental note to attend more events and connect with other creative professionals. By the time Jack returned to his apartment, it was early evening. He felt re-energized after his time outdoors and decided to work for a couple more hours. He finished the first draft of the poster design and sent it to the client for feedback. Then he organized his notes from the park and created a digital mood board for the branding project. Around 8 p.m., Jack closed his laptop, declaring the workday officially over. He cooked dinner, a stir-fry with the vegetables he had bought the day before, and sat on his small balcony to eat. The city was bathed in the golden glow of sunset, and the sounds of traffic and distant conversations created a soothing, urban symphony. As Jack enjoyed his meal, he reflected on the past 2 days. They had been productive, balanced, and fulfilling. Rare gems in the often chaotic life of a freelancer. He knew not every day would be like this. There would be days of frustration, rejection, and self-doubt. Days when clients disappeared without paying, when inspiration refused to strike, or when the isolation of working alone became overwhelming. But there would also be days of creative breakthroughs, appreciative clients, and the satisfaction of seeing his work make a difference. Days when he could take an afternoon off without asking for permission, or work in his pajamas simply because he wanted to. This was the freelance life. Unpredictable, challenging, but ultimately rewarding. It wasn't for everyone, but for Jack, it was the right choice. As the sun disappeared below the horizon and the city lights began to twinkle, Jack felt a sense of contentment wash over him. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new tasks, and perhaps new clients. But tonight, he would rest, recharge, and prepare for another day as a freelancer. With all its ups and downs, its freedoms and responsibilities, and its countless possibilities. As Jack went to bed that night, he smiled to himself. His mother still didn't understand his choice to become a freelancer. His friends with regular jobs still thought he was taking a risk. And sometimes, even he questioned his decision. But days like today reminded him why he had chosen this path. The freelance life wasn't easy, but it was his, shaped by his choices, his efforts, and his dreams, and that made all the difference. Key vocabulary, repeated throughout. Freelancer. A person who works independently, selling services to different employers without a long-term commitment to any of them. Client. A person or organization using the services of a freelancer or professional person. Deadline. The latest time or date by which something should be completed. Project. A planned piece of work that has a specific purpose and end result. Invoice. A document that lists the goods or services provided and states the amount of money owed. Proposal. A plan or suggestion put forward for consideration by others. Portfolio. a collection of work samples that demonstrate a person's skills and abilities. Networking, the action of interacting with others to exchange information and develop professional contacts, revisions, changes made to improve or correct something. Budget, an estimate of income and expenditure for a set period of time. Remote work, work that is done outside of a traditional office environment. Time management, the process of organizing and planning. How to divide your time between specific activities. Brand identity, the visible elements of a brand, colors, design, logo, etc., that identify and distinguish the brand in consumers' minds. Burnout, physical or mental collapse caused by overwork or stress, feast or famine cycle. A pattern experienced by many freelancers where they either have too much work or not enough. And that's a day as a freelancer. We hope you enjoyed following Jack through his freelance journey. Did you relate to any of his experiences? Or perhaps you're curious about trying freelance work yourself? If you found this story helpful for improving your English vocabulary and listening skills, please hit that like button. Share this video with friends who are learning English or considering freelance work. Don't forget to leave a comment below with your thoughts or questions about the freelance lifestyle. What kind of story would you like to hear next? And if you're new here, subscribe to Story Driven English for more engaging stories that help you learn English in a natural, enjoyable way. Hit the notification bell so you never miss our new uploads. Until next time, keep practicing your English and remember, every story is an opportunity to learn.